Hi, this is Philip Ador, founder of NCLEX RN 45-Day Challenge. In this video, I'm going to be talking about gestational diabetes. Gestational diabetes is a common condition that's occurring during the pregnancy, especially diagnosed roughly the third trimester of pregnancy. As the name suggests, it's essentially similar to diabetes mellitus type 2 in that you have hyperglycemia and you have problems with insulin. So let's look at what normally happens during pregnancy. The pancreas is an organ responsible for producing the hormone insulin. And here, the target cells which insulin will target eventually. And here's the fetus, which is inside the uterus of the pregnant lady. During the pregnancy, there is a beta cell hyperplasia. Beta cells or B cells are cells in the pancreas that produces and secrete the hormone insulin. When a pregnant lady eats, their blood glucose rises, there is hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia will stimulate the beta cells of the pancreas to release the hormone insulin into the circulation. The increase of insulin in the circulation will go around the body and then target the specific cells, telling the cells to take up glucose from the blood in the attempts to reduce the blood glucose. There is still enough blood glucose available in circulations to enter the fetal health circulation. The fetus requires glucose in order to gain energy and to grow, so that there will be normal fetal growth. The fetus will always receive glucose because of several reasons. First is that during pregnancy, insulin sensitivity decreases. This means that the effects of insulin on maternal tissues is reduced. Because the effects of insulin is reduced, there will be more glucose in the blood. Beta cell hyperplasia in the maternal pancreas occurs because of the reduced insulin sensitivity in maternal tissue. And this is also a cause of the factors released by the fetus telling the maternal body to feed it. What happens in gestational diabetes is that instead of a small decrease in insulin sensitivity in maternal tissue, there is a lot of insulin sensitivity decreasing and thus also insulin resistance. Here is a pancreas of the mother with gestational diabetes, and here is a target cell of insulin, and there is the fetus and the uterus. After the mother eats, blood glucose increases, there is a hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia stimulates the beta cells of the pancreas to release the hormones, insulin into the circulation. Insulin aims to target cells to increase features, update maternal tissues. But in gestational diabetes, there is insulin resistance and therefore blood glucose is not taken up into maternal tissues as efficiently. The result of insulin resistance is hyperglycemia of the maternal circulation. With the hyperglycemia, this also travels in fetal circulations, and also there is an increase in blood glucose in the fetus. Because of hyperglycemia in fetal circulation, the fetal pancreas thus will work by producing its own insulin. With more fetal insulin, the fetal tissues will make up more glucose that is available, and so there will be more growth of the fetus, growth in the increase, and you get a big baby. Similarly, the increase in blood glucose in the maternal circulation means that the mother can have symptoms of diabetes, which are the 4 P's: polyuria, polyphagia, paresthesia, which is not actually common, but it's more so chronic diabetes, and polydipsia. Instead, gestational diabetes is rather asymptomatic. The reasons for a big decrease in insulin sensitivity and the development of insulin resistance in gestational diabetes is thought to be because of the placental producing hormones such as growth hormones, CRH, and placental lactogen. Placental hormones causes decrease in insulin sensitivity to try to tell the mother to feed with more glucose. Risk factors for gestational diabetes mellitus include pregnant ladies aged greater than 35 years, obesity, family history of GDM, polycystic ovarian syndrome, certain ethnic groups, including Southeast Asian, and also having a previous history of GDM. A diagnosis of gestational diabetes is actually done during screening of 24 to 28 weeks, roughly gestation. And this is done with fasting blood glucose or with oral glucose tolerance test. A fasting blood glucose is measured between weeks 24 to 28 weeks, and fasting blood glucose of greater than 5.1 millimoles per liter can help diagnose in GDM. The diagnosis of GDM can also be done with an oral glucose tolerance test. If blood glucose is greater than 10 millimoles per liter, after 1 hour of taking oral glucose, or greater than 8.5 millimoles per liter, after 2 hours of taking oral glucose. These values normally should be lower because insulin should be lowering the blood glucose. But with insulin resistance, sensitivity, blood glucose takes a lot longer to go down after eating glucose. On a side note, diagnosing diabetes is different. What I mean is that diagnosing diabetes type 2 in non-pregnant women, you can think of diagnosing diabetes type 2 as the 7-11 rule. 7-11 rule meaning a fasting glucose greater than the 7 millimoles per liter or random blood glucose greater than 11 millimoles per liter. With symptoms of diabetes can help diagnosis of diabetes type 2. Complications of gestational diabetes can be divided into maternal complications and fetal complications and infant complications. Maternal complications or mother complications of gestational diabetes includes hypertensive disorder, increased risk of infections, cesarean sections, is 50% risk of developing future diabetes type 2. Maternal complications can also be treatment complications where you get insulin-related hyperglycemia. Fetal complications occurs as a consequence of fetal hyperglycemia. With fetal hyperglycemia, you get fetal hyperinsulinemia. Fetal hyperinsulinemia means that there will be more glucose uptake by fetal tissues causing microsomia or a big baby. Fetal hyperglycemia means fetal osmosis diuresis occurs, which means that the fetus will pee more because of the diuretic effects of the glucose. Because of the fetus pees more and more, fluid will be within the amniotic fluid sac causing polyhydramnios. Fetal hyperglycemia may lead to congenital abnormalities and even stillbirth. Infant complications or baby complications tend to occur during delivery or right after the delivery. This is because the fetus is larger than macrosomia, and thus birth trauma can occur, and this can be true to a baby or to the mother's genital tract. After delivery, the fetus will not receive any more glucose from the mother because the umbilical cord is clamped. Keep in mind that there is still fetal hyperinsulinemia present, and this means that the glucose will be taken up still, but with no more supply of glucose in the baby. This means that there is the hypoglycemia. Later after delivery, the baby will also have subsequent hyperbilirubinemia, hypocalcemia, and an increased risk of respiratory distress syndrome, which is respiratory problem which is manageable. There's also a long-term risk of the baby developing childhood obesity. The management of gestational diabetes can be divided into managing the pregnancy itself and managing the baby after delivery. Maternal management work with pregnancy management involves a multidisciplinary team where the obstetricians plays a vital role as a woman with gestational diabetes is a high-risk patient. The management first line is diet and exercise. Use of diabetic medications including metformin can also be used. If this fails or if the mother prefers insulin injections, can be used. During this period of managing gestational diabetes, which again is diagnosed roughly between 24 to 28 weeks, which is screening process. The pregnant women needs to be continuously monitor their blood glucose with fingerprint test. For example, at least 4 times a day. Further, it is important to monitor the fetus inside the uterus using an ultrasound. Detect anatomical changes to check the fetal size, to check the fetal blood flow, and also checking the fetal heart rate. The management of the baby occurs postpartum after delivery and includes oxygenations because of the risk of respiratory distress syndrome. Because of the baby's also hypoglycemia, there can also be administrations of extras. It is finally important to monitor the bilirubin levels and glucose levels continuously and also calcium levels.